Hi everyone. Today I am back with day 16 of Diamine's 2024 Inkvent Calendar, the black edition. It's right over here. I have no idea what's behind the door. I have been studiously trying my hardest to avoid any spoilers. The minute I see anything that threatens to be a spoiler or outright looks like it is, I just scroll past so fast. I'm old-fashioned. I want to find out on the day of. I don't want to, do it months ahead of time and already know what to expect. So have the common courtesy and decency that shouldn't even need to be said if you're doing on social media early, like before the day of, or even on the day of, before everyone has had a chance to unwrap, based on time zone, or maybe they're at work or at school all day. They don't have time to do it, even if they're in your time zone, until like 12 at night, or like 10 or 11 or something like that. At least, nest them in the comments, or hide it behind spoiler tags if that option is available on that particular social media, because no one enjoys having their fun and their surprise and their holiday cheer ruined early. And so let's just see what's behind door number 16. Oh, cute. I didn't notice that on the top of the trees there are nibs of pens. Wow, there's so many little details in this artwork. I'm just, every day I'm seeing a little bit something new as I open the doors. Let's see. Oh, that one's okay. This is here's this black tundra. Oh, that's very interesting. It looks like a kind of a blue black. Let me see. This is there, I don't see any shimmer. This is actually, it looks gray when I take it out. This is a standard ink, so gray isn't really a color I not draw gray is not a color I write with at all, because who wants to write with a color that usually in my experience it's so light you can't really read the writing back afterwards. It seems more like a color for artwork, but I guess really dark grays might be different, or of course in a super broad nib, or an extra quadruple stub or something, or calligraphy, it might look a little bit different. But in my experience, gray just hasn't been a color I want to use at all. But let's just see how this color swatches out. That is definitely a gray. I'm off the top of my head, I don't know the difference between warm and cool grays, but this is definitely shaping up to be a very light gray as it goes down. But of course I will go back over with a thicker coat of ink, as I always do. That's very light gray, but I do of course see how it evokes the name tundra, bleak, depressing. But this doesn't particularly look like a very holiday-y color, but of course maybe it'll dry up to something completely different, and the writing sample will also look different. That's definitely, well, it's kind of a swampy color, very tundra-esque. I don't know if I would want to do a full writing sample with it based on just this swatch. This is very unexpected, and it is, as I put down more ink, it does look kind of like there might be a bit of a green undertone to it. That's very interesting. Well, I don't, well, I did a little bit of gray writing with J. Urban, Cacao do Brasil for the, and back in April I did 30 days, 30 inks. That's the only time I've done that challenge to date, because I know I wasn't really doing it the way everyone else does. I have to wait until I get an overhead tripod so I can finally do writing samples properly. But anyway, a gray ink is completely out of my wheelhouse. It's going to be a new experience when I write with it. Oh, and this looks like it's kind of, this particular section, it's kind of like a bronzy color, I wouldn't say orangey, more like a brassy, coppery undertone. That's really interesting. And I'll turn it around and do the writing sample in the next segment. And that's going down. It looks like a black. I know dark grays sometimes can look very much like black. The swatch does look a bit different than the writing sample, but now it is starting to look lighter gray as I write more of the sample. So wow, that definitely looks readable in what I have written with the dip pen, and it kind of almost looks, in this light at least, like there might be a little bit of a greenish undertone to it, and I'm still seeing the little bit of coppery esque. You guys can see it better when I turn it around, and I'll just write the Diamine Inkvent day 16. Wow. I am liking this color. Perhaps it wouldn't look so bad in a pen, although I do tend to like more fun, vibrant colors like the purples, blues, greens, like oranges, like dark, bright pinks, and I've been getting a bit more into browns recently. But yeah, it is drying up to a somewhat lighter gray than it went down, but it's still looking very legible in the name which I wrote. So Inkvent 2025. It's kind of hard to maneuver this little dip pen because it's, kind of small, but I like to think I'm getting a little bit better at it, but you can't really avoid inky fingers when you're doing swatching, and because I write with both of my hands, it's almost inevitable I'm going to get ink on both of them every day, or on at least one of them. Wow, and I'm still liking it. It's a totally new experience. I might have to, because I'm so inexperienced with gray, I might have to use it multiple times to really get a feel of how I, feel about it. So, wow, this is, yeah, it's not too bad. And now I'll do the longer writing sample and come back with that. Oh, of course, have to turn this around first. It definitely, I know I'm seeing kind of bluish undertones too in the name. So maybe it's a nice ink, another winner, even though it might not be to my own personal style. But you can't always have fun, loud, bright, vibrant, purples and pinks and oranges and shocking neon blues and greens and stuff to write with. Sometimes you want, or you need to write with something that's so-called more so-called, I'm totally blanking, this is unscripted, that's more so-called professional and mature, and that means, certain shades of gray and of course black and so-called professional blues. But it is a very nice shade if you're into something like this, instead of the so-called fun colors, the ones which I do. And now I'm going to do the writing sample. That is a longer writing sample, as you guys can see. When I had to dip it again, it became a darker color, closer to black, and it looks a bit lighter gray. And also there's a nice, it's more subtle, not so much in your face. That's one reason why this would be good in a so-called professional setting, or if you just like inks you consider, more mature and serious, instead of, fun and playful and stuff like that. You can see kind of a greenish undertone and a bluish, but, very, very light and subtle. You would have to see it on certain kinds of paper in the right light, but this does look very, very nice. I don't know if I would get a full bottle or not. And here again is the sample, and I pulled out from my swatch pile of the other Inkvents. It looks a little bit like Wishing Tree and a bit like Marley, but not quite. There's all a little bit something different in the colors of these swatches, which, I've had heard some people saying, because I'd never gotten Inkvent before, only, seen the swatches or had some of the full bottles of ink, myself after the fact. Some people claimed, oh, they just reuse colors they already have. They just give it a different name, and voila, it's an entirely new ink for this year's Inkvent. But so far, none of these look identical, and they don't really look like any existing Diamine inks I'm aware of. So, yet another winner. So many awesome inks this year. Of course, at the end I'll have to do a retrospective, go through and see which ones I want the most, but there are, so many of these I already could see myself getting a full bottle of. Thank you very much for watching all the way through to the end, and I will see you guys again tomorrow for day number 17 of Inkvent. Bye!